Welcome to another episode of Contact Centres Uncensored. My name's Simon Blair.
And I'm Shelley, Flett, and we're bringing you cut-through conversations for leaders. Today, hi Simon.
Hi Shelley.
Today's question I think is actually quite relevant for the time of year that it is. You know, a little bit busy, getting a little bit colder. But my question to kind of kick off our conversation this morning is how important is it to maintain energy in a contact centre environment?
Are we talking for those at the front line, just everyone broadly within the operation, within the environment? Yeah.
Let's talk about the frontline staff as well as the leadership roles.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I think energy is, look, for anyone, and for all of us, I think in roles where, you know, there's, in the case of the contact centre, it's high repetition. You know, there's just the busyness of the operation is very, very demanding.
Call after call.
Yeah, and it's challenging. It's challenging psychologically, certainly. Yeah, the physical and mental toll can be significant, whether it's you're talking about within a single day, let alone over, you know, a career.
Yeah.
And however many years that is. So, with what I do, which is helping individuals and managers deliver good customer experience over the telephone, that is a core thing to what I suppose drives effective communication as well. And we've all had those experiences as consumers on the other side when we deal with that call centre agent where they're just flat, their heart's not in it, and especially when it's possibly 10 minutes to 5 on a Friday afternoon as a classic sort of scenario.
And those calls drop through.
Yeah.
This is something that I've always struggled with because, and I look at maintaining energy levels as a leader. So how do you, check in on your mindset and your state throughout the day and make sure that you're actually being present for your staff? But it's completely different when you're on the phone and you could be taking up to 100 calls a day.
Yeah.
I guess this question, what's the right energy level to have in a contact centre? Because if you're operating at high, you burn out quite quickly.
Yeah, it does come back to the management. I think like any energy, we have to manage it to sustain it because it naturally will, I suppose, rise and fall. I mean, as humans, our rhythms just throughout a day and our energy levels. And for each individual, of course, it's different based on, are they looking after themselves? So I think it starts... And from my perspective, whether you're a leader or you're at the front line, for all of us, are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating properly? And then there's the mental side in terms of, do you enjoy what you're doing? Do you get meaning out of your work? And I think that almost spiritual aspect becomes critical. So if you're doing a job you don't enjoy, it's going to have a direct negative impact, I think, on your energy. Because when things are tough, then I think if you, in the context of not enjoying your job overall or your environment, or your manager, which we know has a major influence, then it's just going to make it harder to maintain the positive energy. So there's a lot of influences that go into it. So.
And different strategies that you can use to actually do that for different people. I love Amy Cuddy's power posing that she talks about, and the concept that when we go into an interview where we're quite closed off and, we're waiting in the waiting room and we're on our phones or our devices, we're quite hunched over and then when we get in, we're expected to project out, but our physiology creates the response and the state that we have. Yeah. And so... one of the things that I suggest in a contact centre environment is have a vanity mirror on your desk. But I'm actually thinking, why not have your contact centre set up a little bit like a gym where you have the whole wall of mirrors?
A wall of mirrors?
What would that do? How do I look when I'm talking on the phone to this person?
That seems, because of the younger demographic that seems to exist in a lot of call centres, I worry about the narcissistic sort of tendencies of people. There's a whole row of mirrors and the distractions that might happen. But no, to your point, it's the potential, a lot of advantages there. Because I think a big part of phone communication, because all you have is your voice.
That's it.
Yeah, that's your whole toolkit. So how you project your voice, how you use your voice, to display energy, even if you're not feeling it. And this goes to your point around your physiology, your actual physical activity, and how that drives your physiology and your then emotional response based on chemical sort of reactions and hormones that get triggered by, say, physical exercise.
That's right.
And I do a fair bit of work in my training, just my standard, say, customer service and sales training. There's a module there around your energy and style, and it's all about breathing and posture. And it borrows a lot from what professional, say, singers use or athletes use to maintain a level of performance and projection. And diaphragmatic breathing is massive in that regard.
I've actually heard of people that speak that are speakers. People that speak.
There's a word.
Professional speakers.
Professional speakers, yeah.
Taking singing lessons to actually work with their vocals and the breathing. Would you be willing to take us through a little bit of a breathing exercise that our viewers could actually try at any point throughout the day?
Look,
maybe something that's not so embarrassing to watch.
Yeah, well, I suppose because we're sitting down, we won't stand up. It might, don't know if we're set up properly for that. But I mean, if you're in a call centre agent, you could be sitting at your desk. This is something you could do, and it is about shoulders back. And this is from a singing sort of technique, is chin up, and you want to project. And you'll see singers do this. So if you watch those, singing shows and The Voice and what have you, they're projecting up here. Okay. So it's this sort of angle, because it opens up the airways and maximises the breath. But most people don't know where their diaphragm is. And then in the, say, training workshops I run, and just below your rib cage, it's the big muscle that sits there, and it pushes down. So, which is why it's hard. The short breath. So most of us shallow breathe in the modern world. Most of us shallow breathe, and it's a major cause of tension and stress that sits across here. So the quickest way to relieve tension that you may be feeling, the classic 3 deep breaths. But most people don't actually, it's like before you step on stage, take 3 deep breaths. But it's breathing properly with your diaphragm. The quickest way to activate your diaphragm is to put your hands above your head. And when you put your hands above your head and take 3 deep breaths, it's impossible not to breathe from your diaphragm. So it's taking the breath, which normally sits here, down to there. And it's actually then the muscle being activated that pushes a greater amount of air up past your vocal cords. And it's a fascinating thing what it does to the voice. So if I take 3 deep breaths now. So when I talk,
I think your voice just got lower.
Exactly. So it drops the register slightly. So, which can project more power, more control, can be very, very useful. And it gives you more power when you can control, which is what singers are striving for, is that control in whatever they're singing, because they've got a greater volume of breath and going over the vocal cords that they can then use to effect. So that's fantastic, and I think in whether you're a leader or a operator or a customer service advisor on the phones, you could do that throughout your day in between your calls. Absolutely.
Or you could actually, create a little bit of a schedule where you get a pop-up on your phone to remind you it's time to breathe. In fact, my Apple Watch does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
specific to breathing.
Yeah.
There you go. So it's knowing, like everything, okay, breathe. It's how to breathe properly. And there's a fascinating thing that happens when you deep breathe like that. And when I do that exercise, I have a group of call center agents in a training room. Their hands above their head. I get them to do standard sort of greetings. Welcome to Company X. You're speaking with Simon. Get them to do it before we've done the breathing, and then after, so everyone can actually hear the difference it makes. We also do a physical thing, which is the action driving the state of mind, and it's people who are familiar with karate and martial arts would know that sort of push forward, and that it's coming from the diaphragm, and that getting participants to do that really makes it fun, and there's an energy that suddenly rises up. So, and the other aspect is they're all standing up. So it's actually the whole thing of shoulder width apart, athletic stance, which is the basis for most sports.
Right.
And so with sales teams in particular, where you want to maintain a really strong vibrancy and energy in your conversations over the phone, one of the great cultural things you can do in sales teams is to get them all standing up.
Great idea.
So that's where the standing desk thing, which is quite common now, can be really advantageous. So
I find that, you know, when I'm sitting at home and I'm having to make calls, that the position of sitting all the time actually really makes me a little bit lethargic. And I feel like I do need to move around. So standing is not really a good option. So I actually invested the other day in one of those pedal, you know, the portable the portable units with the pedals on it.
So while you're sitting down at your desk?
So while I'm sitting down at my desk, I'm actually pedaling. And, you know, I don't have to do anything too strenuous.
But just the physical...
It's actually just getting my body moving and improving the way that I have calls. And so, you know, I don't think it matters what role you're in. If you're having to sit for long periods of time, that making sure that your body is moving. I think that, you know, around energy levels, it's also... You know, you mentioned it earlier around what you eat and how much sleep you're getting. I think sleep is highly underestimated, and there's different research to say what's the best amount of sleep. But I think everybody agrees that getting any less than 6 hours sleep a night is probably not sustainable.
Detrimental, but like everything, the quality of the sleep is just as important. And I think if you have a good sort of exercise regime as well and healthy eating, then doing things like reducing alcohol intake, sugar, and the benefits that people have seen with the quality of their sleep as a result, just changing up some of those habits and routines. Is there, I suppose, in the work that you do with leaders, yourself, Shelley, with in your training and coaching, is that a major sort of focus as well around the energy that individuals bring in their habits, I suppose, for themselves personally?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, one of the things that I talk to leaders about is actually recognising when it's time to slow down and when it's time just to hit the pause button. I actually recently released a blog on you need to look after you. And that, I think, in terms of maintaining energy throughout a year, and you know, that's what we kind of go on, is the yearly cycle of a business. To be able to do that, I think that occasionally you need to take a mental health day and a rest day, or a doona day, as you know, some like to call it. You know, the day where you go, I'm physically drained. I know that if I don't rest my mind, that it's going to translate into being physically unwell, which will take longer to recover. And so I think it's, when I'm working with leaders, it's recognising you need to take a break. You need to take a mental break. So you're stepping out of the workplace or whatever is making you feel that unhealthy amount of stress, and you just regrouping and taking that downtime.
I like the concept with that of being proactive around that. So like schedule it before it happens.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, we all understand that, you know, when bad stuff gets us, that, you know, don't want to get out of bed, stay under the doona, can't face the day. Well, if you can actually schedule that sort of day for you on a regular basis, it might actually be a prevention.
And you know,
technique.
If you spend that day in bed and looking after yourself, you're actually back at work the next day feeling relatively good and with high amounts of energy. But it's less detriment on the business because you haven't been out of work for a week, and then getting back into it is a bit of a slow start, and your whole efficiency drops. So absolutely, I'm a big fan of taking that. I'm not saying I do that very often. I'm probably on the wrong side of that, but I love to talk to people about the concept of looking after themselves. So
cool.
Some really great conversations, and you know, we'd love to hear your feedback, get your questions, and share them with us. We'll absolutely interact with you in the question space. So like and share this article and connect with us.
Absolutely. Yeah, connect with us and let us know what you think, and would be great to get some contribution from our viewers. And it's been a pleasure, Shelley.
Great. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.
Take care.